Today I have the pleasure of chatting with Mark Coleman. Mark is one of the real pioneers of MMA. He was one of the early guys in UFC. He's a UFC champion, Pride champion as well, yeah.
Yeah, Pride champion.
And yeah, he's a very well respected, legendary character in fighting. So really an honor to chat with you, and I appreciate you making the time to come through today.
Thank you, sir. My pleasure.
What got you started? I got to know a lot of the fellas. Chuck is a friend. Chuck comes and trains with me in a couple weeks. Hoist was just there a couple weeks ago, etc. So Mark Kerr. Mark's actually doing a talk with me here a week from right now, 5 days from right now.
That's awesome.
So I got to know some of the people from that era, and a couple of them I'm pretty close with. And I was always interested in meeting you and learning more about you as a person. But what got you involved in this originally?
Very simple. I was amateur wrestlers. No money in wrestling. It's all for pride and glory. And I was 31, getting kind of old for wrestling. Not anymore, but it used to be. And the grind was just brutal. 27, 30 years of my life, and I had to make a living. And I seen UFC 1, and I was addicted. I was mesmerized. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to win this shit.
So simple as that.
Simple, yeah. That's it. So 35, I tried out for the Olympics in wrestling in 96. I lost in the semifinals, and then I was met by a promoter who was given a spot in UFC 10, and he told me he's got a spot. He's looking at me, Mark Kerr, and Tom Erickson. And basically, I talked my way in. I told them I'll whoop their ass. I said, I'll beat down Fry's ass. I said, I'm the man for the job. I didn't want to read the contract. I just wanted in. So I signed that contract that day. It turned out to be a pretty shitty contract, but that's okay. And talked my way in, and I was 35 days, walked off the wrestle mat into the cage.
Yeah.
Ground and pound. Godfather of ground and pound. That's what I'm going to do, and that's what I did.
Yeah, so I understand you were an early pioneer of headbutts as well.
Headbutts was my go-to. It opened up everything else and almost made it unfair. That's the first rule they put in is no headbutts, and probably because of me. But I loved it. That was violent, no fear, and throwing a headbutt, and savage.
Wow. Well, the results turned out quite well for you over time. You had quite a reputation. What was different at that time? I've talked about this with, Chuck would tell me stories back in the 90s that they had 30 minutes or no time limits, or in other countries that the fighting was a much different rule set than today. And so I know the original fights were, I believe the only rules were you're not allowed to bite people or poke their eyes.
No biting, no eye gouging, no fish hooking. That was it. Fighting, man. It was real fighting. Changed the game. When you can knee people on the ground, when you can kick people on the ground, it changes the defense. And when you can throw headbutts, it changes the defense. Most importantly, and just opened everything else up.
I looked at your Wikipedia. I see the roster of guys. Shogun was over here yesterday. We did an interview. So I see you won one and lost one. You broke his arm at one time?
Yeah, it was the last fight on my contract. They gave me 90 days notice. Pride played some games back then. They wanted him to win real bad. He was their up-and-coming star. And usually when they want the other guy to win, they would give you a couple weeks notice. But they didn't think I had a chance, and they blew it. Give me 90 days, and it was at heavyweight. Shogun came in soft, and I was prepared and ready. I was angry. It was the last fight of my contract. They offered me like peanuts for an extension, so I didn't sign. And when I beat him, I didn't know. I took him down, and he posted his arm wrong, blew his arm out. And a little bit of action happened after that. Everybody was upset, thought I didn't know he blew his arm out. So I basically got attacked by a bunch of Brazilians, including Wanderlei Silva. I loved every second of it. It was so damn fun. It was epic and beautiful, and I'm glad Shogun's arm healed up, and we got to do it again.
You just love to fight, huh?
Sure did, man. It's the greatest sport in the world.
I think
And
it is.
climbing, it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. I knew this. I walked out UFC 10 way back in the day, and I visualized what we're seeing now and what we're going to see in the future. It's just going to continue to get bigger. The whole world loves and respects a good fight, and that's the beauty of it.
You know, I've had that thought for years as well. That maybe, I don't know, a bit more than 15 years ago, I started really paying attention and watching some of the fights. And I don't see why anybody'd want to watch a different combat sport, boxing or other things. Boxing's nice. I worked on boxing a bit, and a fellow named Paulie Malignaggi was a 5-time champion. He helped me with my boxing. He's a good guy. But the skill sets and grit involved in MMA is there's hundreds of things you got to be aware of and protect yourself from. And if you can be good at a few things, but you got to be good at a few offensive things. But it's like it's what you said. There's so many things you could do that you have to be aware of defensively that your opponent can do to you. And then when there was less rules as well, it's even more so that to be kicked on the ground, kneed on the ground, and there's some of these other tougher positions. So yeah, it's. I don't see how it doesn't grow more and more over time. That it has obviously in the last couple decades, and if I look at a boxing match, it seems kind of dull to me. Really,
Yeah.
I don't really watch it ever.
I think it all begins with wrestling. I owe everything to wrestling. Made me the man I am today. If you can't wrestle, you can't fight. A lot of the fans don't love the wrestling part of the aspect, but that's what makes this sport.
Yeah.
If you want to be able to strike and knock somebody down, you better learn how to defend a takedown, or you'll be on the ground taking damage. So it starts with wrestling, and you got to learn it. You got to get good. It's the hardest sport in the world, most grinding, brutal sport ever. I loved it, and now we get to see all the striking because everybody learned how to wrestle, so the takedowns don't come so easy anymore. So we're going to see a lot of striking, which I also like as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many successful wrestlers. I mean, still in UFC, there's, as you said, it's a requisite skill set that you have to have good wrestling now. But the early guys, is you, Mark, Mark Kerr, Dan Severn,
Fry.
Don Fry. So
Wow.
yeah,
It's just our mentality. The mentality of a wrestler is different than most human beings for sure. We're grinding hard every day, and I think we're just some of the best athletes in the world, and we're able to adjust and learn the rest of the sport. You take away the rules in wrestling, it's fucking fighting, so that's all it was. And a quick adjustment, then we had to learn the technique, but and then the stand-up game takes some time to learn, but just great athletes coming out of the wrestling world. All sizes, any size can wrestle.
yeah. Yeah, I've trained with Henry Cejudo's a buddy, and he's trained with some of the. We have humorous moments once in a while where he's grabbing me for a single leg and tugging on me. The one time he's, I say this very respectfully, Henry's extremely talented, obviously, but he's pulling on my leg. And he's like, "Well, Derek, you got to be cooperative." I'm like, "I am. What do you want me to do?" But he's, there's a big size difference between us. So, but I learned a lot from Henry. Shout out to Henry Cejudo. Some of the other fellas that came over and helped me with wrestling. Tito has helped me with low wrestling. Mike Chandler. Guy named Kyle Sermonera. He married one of the UFC girls, Caitlin Chukagian. Kyle's he's about 40, and but he was at U.S. Olympic Wrestling Center and his head coach at Penn State for a while, or University of Pennsylvania. Sorry. Anyway, the time I spent on wrestling, I mean, it helps an awful lot. That I focused on jiu-jitsu mostly, but it's kind of all morphed together with
they're all morphed
modern
together, but the
grappling now.
takedown is the most critical. Learning the ins and outs of the takedown is most important. If you ever want any help, I'd be glad to help you out. Come out and
I'm gonna take you up on that.
spar. Yeah, sounds good. Seriously.
No, we had 30 people of the kind of the who's who of UFC that have stopped over and trained with me, and I train about 19 days a month MMA. I built my own gyms. I got my own weightlifting gym. I built my own training facility for.
Awesome.
So I got 3,500 feet, a little more than 3,500 feet of weightlifting, and just for me, it's not like a public thing. It's
Yeah,
just.
man, that's nice.
But I had the so many great coaches, and I'd be honored to learn from you as well, and happy to make it worth your while to make the trip.
Let's do it.
We'll plan out the details afterwards. There you go, another world-class coach for me. Going to teach me headbutting strategies.
Hell yeah, north, south.
What are your thoughts of the difference in athlete from some of the kids today, or some of the younger people at UFC? They grew up in a different environment. They weren't these tough brawler type people. They're more a traditional athlete. They wouldn't think about it more like a sport and athleticism in a less rough way. For perhaps I'm not articulating as well as I'd like to, but you talk about guys like you or a lot of your contemporaries early on. Like these are just rough guys that maybe their technique is not as good at that time, and everything evolves over time. So of course that would be the case. But they're just tough men, like really tough men.
I feel like I would have dominated in this era as well. Just the evolution of the sport. I was a 3-sport star in high school. That's all I ever did is play football, wrestling, and baseball. I was all state in all 3 of them, and I wanted to be the best athlete in the world. But what I really wanted growing up, because I was real shy and I didn't want nobody to be able to bully me, I wanted to be the baddest man on the planet. Even though there wasn't a sport at the time, I still wanted to be that guy. And I worked hard to hopefully I got there for a little bit, but I had struggles with drugs and alcohol my whole career. It kind of, I'm not proud of my career. I mean, I put it together for some big events, but most of the time I wasn't prepared, and I went in there unprepared, and that's the worst place to be. But I did it. I regret it. I don't regret it, but you just got to keep moving forward and be a better person. I got 3 years, 3 months sober, and I got help. I checked into a rehab, and I learned how to live life sober. I found peace and happiness, and life is amazing. I'm grateful for everything I've ever did. I had the best life ever. I just didn't know it. Now mentally, I realize I was blessed, and you always want more, but I have everything I need.
At the time that you were drinking more or using other substances, is that a coping strategy to deal with pain from injuries, or is that just a lifestyle, just out partying and having fun?
Alcoholic, man.
Yeah.
Just it's a gene. I have it, and it's a nasty, nasty drug. And my higher power took away the obsession for me to drink, and I think about it every day still. I will the rest of my life, but I work the system. I give back. I help many, many people that are struggling with this disease, and because I'm a master. I know alcoholism inside and out, and I love to give back and help people out. Just like even just messages on Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. People, every day I get hundreds of them, and I try to get back as many as I can. And it's real simple. You get help. You check in with the experts. You don't wait. Everything that's there will be there when you get out, and everything that's supposed to come back in your life will come back in your life. You can't do it alone. We all need help, and get help.
Yeah, a lot of the guys in my family drink, and my father, my uncle, and all the men in the family. And I never, I did plenty of drinking in my life, but I never wanted to drink excessively. A few times when you're a teenager, you don't even. One time I never had hard liquor before. I think I was 16, and we found one of my buddies had a bottle of Seagram's whiskey, and I think I drank 13 or so shots. And I didn't know what the hell that was. I didn't know 1 shot or 10 shots, or it didn't seem like that much liquid, and it's what would fit in a beer can or something.
It's a lot.
And, yeah, I found that out. I found that out. So.
Just the social anxiety. It just I liked the way it made me feel. Took away all my fear, anxiety, and I just liked the way it made me feel. That was the bottom line. And I couldn't control it. Fighting kept it in check for many years. Wrestling, I was real clean during my whole wrestling career, and then fighting it helped me manage it pretty good. But once the fighting was over, I had nothing to keep me from grabbing another bottle, and it became around the clock. There were no days and nights. It was just both.
My father is this way, and I never talked about that publicly, but he'll wake up and 10 in the morning and start drinking a beer, and he's not drunk. He's not drunk, but just all day, just 12 beers, 15 beers. And I think
Maybe productive drunk. He's more drunk than you know.
Yeah.
He's more drunk than people want to admit. It's unfortunate. I would love to see this guy try to get help and finish off his life sober. He'd be amazed at how it gets better every day. Today was amazing. Today's already even better. I love life.
I don't anticipate him doing that, but
Yeah. It's very
I've often
hard.
thought that as well.
It's one of the hardest things for anybody in the world to do. Even if you check into rehab, the success rate is about 5% of people that check in. That's very, very low. So it's very high disease out there.
Yeah, I see it
Ruins
causes
lives, ruins everything. And they promote it so high. When I got out of rehab, it was like for the first year and a half, it was very challenging because it seemed like it was on my mind 24 hours a day. You could see advertisement everywhere, everything you've seen, and you have to stay busy or you will fail. And I hadn't exercised, and I took like 10 years off where I did nothing after my last fight. I got every muscle in my body hurt. I ached everywhere, and then finally the disease was rough, and I'm thinking this is gonna be tough. The rest of my life is gonna be like this. But then I struck a deal with Liver King, and now I promote the carnivore diet and the 9 ancestral tenets, and we work together. I love this guy. He's been great to me, and he motivated me last January 1st to start working out, and then I hung the phone up, and I didn't stop. I put in literally up to 19-hour days of nonstop, some kind of exercise, and I averaged at least 12 hours a day. I still do. I'm sore as can be sitting here right now, and it's early in the morning, but I'm already sore, and I just love to be sore. I love the feeling.
I have maybe in the same vein or slightly different, but my brain's very obsessive, and I have to make sure that I focus myself on productive things or good things, because I'm kind of a shithead, and if I didn't focus myself on good things, I'll get myself into some sort of mischief,
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, I can very much relate to some of the elements of what you're saying. That I always thought, I don't mind working all day. I worked 100-hour weeks. I haven't had a job since 1999. I just built my own businesses and worked on my own projects.
Awesome.
But
24 hours in a day, use them.
I think everybody gets 168 hours, and this is a great topic to chat about with you. Everybody gets 168 hours in their week, and rich people and poor people and smart people and dumb people. Everybody gets 168. In that time management, you're saying, hey, sometimes I work out 19 hours a day or keep yourself active, I like that when my waking hours that I'm getting something done, I'm being productive, that I'm solving problems for myself, or I'm investing in a relationship or friendship with somebody, help some of my friends or clients solve their problems. And I like to keep my brain active and doing things. And, they help me build good social relationships over time, help me do very well financially. When I focused on it and made a priority, it helped me with my fitness. And I think that obsessive thinking is really a gift for those that know how to use it or can focus their energy on the right things.
Well, I found out people treat you differently, talk to you differently when you are in shape and exercise. It just is. I get more respect now that I look healthier and act healthier, and you have to stay busy to stay sober, and I do feel productive just by exercising. That's the most important. It gives my brain peace because I did something productive today, and that's it.
No, that's great. I hope somebody takes that note that they feel that I don't have. It's kind of a purpose. I'm not into this hippie woo woo type shit at all, but in the more pragmatic sense of that. People talking about, find your purpose. That it's a lot easier to work on a goal if you have a damn goal. It's a lot easier to be productive if you have a goal, or you keep yourself focused, or feel like, all right, I'm gonna wake up and do this tomorrow, and that's important because. And if you don't have a serious goal that you're working towards, like, yeah, it's easy to sit around and do not much, or do things that might be damaging or not productive to your life. And
Yeah, but doing nothing, it's bad for your brain. It'll wear on you.
for sure.
No doubt about it. Just, I have a big platform. I've been blessed with the platform I have now to help people in sobriety. But at the same time, I'm trying to promote people to exercise and be healthy. Health is wealth, and exercise is health. So I motivate people every day to get up and just get moving, man. Just no excuses. There are no excuses. You just have to walk. Walking is so beautiful, so beneficial. I walk, up to 20 miles a day sometimes. Works the whole body. Gives you energy. I love getting the sunlight, the 9 ancestral tenants. Get out, get grounded, take your shoes off, get in the grass, walk in the grass, get that grounding, get the sun. I like getting the cold plunges. I do them often as I can. I'm in the saunas all the time, and sleep right, eat right. It's very common sense.
What are your bigger goals going forward? You got some decades to live yet. What do you think you want to do with them?
Well, just keep moving forward, and my daughters are my life. Keep making them happy and make them proud, and keep helping people. I just want to help people become a better version of themselves than they can be, and that's by my motivational skills, and that's it, really. I just want to enjoy life. I'm happy. I'm at peace. I have everything I need, but I'm going to work real hard to earn the toys that I would like to have. So it's all about staying busy, using them hours, using them 24 hours. Stop making excuses. Like I said, I was in so much pain after my last fight. I used that for an excuse, sympathy. Give me sympathy. I'm old, retired fighter, walking crooked, but it's just because I didn't do anything. I brought every muscle in my body back to life. My ankles were hurting, my knees were hurting, my hips, the shoulders were ruined. I worked them all. They're back alive. Everything works, and the pain is gone. I'm very blessed to have no pain.
You mentioned family. I seen in the news some months ago that you got yourself in a situation. Your parents, was it, or in a house fire?
Parents' house, yes.
Is that your parents' home?
Yeah.
And their house caught on fire?
I was visiting my parents, and about 4 a.m., my dog Hammer woke me up. He made a big thud on the bed, woke me up, and I thought I was in the middle of a nightmare, because I do have nightmares a lot, and I have night sweats. So I woke up, it was real hot, and I was I just felt something was real wrong in the house, like the devil was in there. I got up and I walked out to the kitchen, and I seen a bunch of clouds out in the kitchen. I didn't put two and two together that it was smoke in a fire. I just was confused, and then I grabbed a doorknob to open up and get outside. Luckily, the doorknob was locked, and I couldn't get it open, because if I had opened that up, it would have let all that air in, and it would have been a disaster. But then I did that, burnt my hand real bad, so I didn't see any flames, just smoke. But I burnt, and I realized right away, oh shit! And then I heard glass windows fall from above, and then it clicked in. It's time to go get my parents out of here, because this fire is everywhere, inside the walls, and it came quick. I went back and I grabbed my mom and dad. Smoke was getting real severe. I got them. I thought both out the door. I turned around. My mom didn't come with us. That was like unbelievable. I had to run all the way back and grab her. By this time, it was more than pitch black. Pitch black plus smoke everywhere. I'm taking all this smoke in. I don't know how I did it. If I hadn't been exercising like I was, I had zero chance. Maybe get myself out, but. I was in there probably for 10 minutes. I got my mom out. I ran back in a third time and tried to find my dog, but I couldn't find him. I swiped underneath the bed. and I stood up, and I about fell over, passed out. It was time to get out of there, and I barely made it out. And I thought I was fine. It was the highest of highs and the lowest of lows at the same time. I thought I was fine, but then the ambulance got there, and it was getting worse by the second. I had taken in so much smoke. It was tightening up, and then they had to life flight me to the hospital, put me on a ventilator. I was on a ventilator for a couple of days, and they said they had never seen so much smoke on somebody's lungs. They had this machine that went down in there and was able to blast the smoke off my lungs. Had that not happened, real good chance I'd die right there, or minimum. It would have been a long, long recovery, but that machine got it off, and I woke up and told them to let me out. I got to get out of here. I got exercise to do, man. But it was a blessing just to live, and then to wake up and find out the whole world had heard about this story and took an interest in it, and people were praying for me, supporting me, pulling for me, and it just made everything so much better. No time to be disappointed or depressed. You're alive, and people love you, and you need to get healthy and get back going.
As I was watching this, I'd see it on the internet all the time that, I follow a lot of people or in the fight community. And so you're in, every main page that people were talking about on Instagram and the social media platforms. And I saw those pictures in the hospital. And then when you woke up and you were talking to your family, there's some video clips that were circulating about that. And I didn't even know you, but I know so many people, from your community that I felt so happy for you. I don't even know you at the time, but I was, I'm so happy that, he's a tough man and, looked out for his parents and so on. That's.
We didn't have no fire alarms, and I'm working with the fire people now, and I'm trying to promote the importance of fire alarms. Would have changed the game that night. Would have saved a lot. Fire alarms help the firemen because time is critical.
Sure.
And you got to check your fire alarms. I can't believe we didn't have it, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people saying the same thing here every day. So check them fire alarms. Put in better fire alarms. It's worth it.
Yeah, it costs nothing. It's $12 or something,
Yeah.
$10, $15, and might save your life. Might save your family's life. So, were there transitions points where your purpose had to change or your goals changed over time? So you came up in wrestling. You said your early 30s. You're thinking, well, how do I make a living with this, with the skills I have and who I am and who I want to be? How have you thought about some of those transitions in life? Where you're moving from one thing to the next, or changing your goals, or just at a time where you got to pivot and do other things?
Well, that I didn't do that. My whole life was obsession with fighting and alcohol, fighting both those, and that's all I cared about was fighting and winning. But I wasn't committed. But there's way more to life than that, and retiring and then going through the battle with the addiction was one of my best fights ever, toughest fights ever, and you have no clue how good it feels to actually check in. And the first 2-3 months, man, I was in a complete fog. It's just the whole 10 years was a big blur, and the fog's clearing out of my brain, and then you just learn about life and what's more important. My family's important, and helping people. That's all I really care about right now. And I get back by helping people. I get help. You know what I mean? It helps me, and life is just whatever you make it. I'm making mine the best every day. It's all about your mind, and I believe life is good, and that's all that matters. Everything starts with a thought. And if it's a bad thought, it's going to control your day right there. You got to slap these bad thoughts out. You got to stay positive always, and you just got to be grateful, and that's it.
there any specific moments in your career that you were exceptionally proud of, or wish you had a redo of?
Well, a lot of redos because lack of preparation and the whole world watching you fight, and it's embarrassing. It's a shame. But the proud moments were, the Pride Grand Prix 2000 where I fought. I had lost 3 straight fights in the UFC because I lost. I didn't train, but the alcohol had controlled me. I became the champion, 3 straight wins in the UFC. And after that third one, my head just went like this, and I started partying. Too many people wanting to meet me, and I couldn't handle it. So I started drinking and celebrating, chasing women. That's the bad one, chasing women. And then definitely I would have got help a lot sooner, but just been more dedicated. It's all about discipline and dedication. That was my whole life. I didn't have that during my fight career. I put it together sometimes, but you have to have your priorities in place, and I didn't. I was weak, very weak with the alcohol and just my obsession to chase women and drink and have fun. It took everything over. But once I got that help and I no longer chase women. I have respect for them. I don't want to be like that. So maybe someday I haven't been with a woman in 5 years now, and maybe someday. But to get sober, that's the first thing they tell you. No relationships for a year. So I'm willing to do anything to stay sober, and it's been 5 years now because for me, women and alcohol are kind of really close.
Well, you're not the first man that women have driven to drinking.
Yes. Just you got to treat people right. Everybody, I like treating people right. The respect and kindness that people show me, it's overwhelming. It blows my mind. But I in return, appreciate every single fan that comes up, wants to take a picture and shake my hand. I would never say no or turn anybody down. It makes me feel good to just the little things make people's day, make them happy.
Have you been involved in this movie project with Mark Cursum?
Oh, this movie's going to be, I can't wait for this movie. They're flying me in next week. I'm flying to Vancouver to watch a couple scenes with Ryan Bader's playing me. Mm-hmm. I love that fact. He's a great guy. They're doing a fight scene next week, so I get to go there and watch it. They didn't ask me to come in and kind of coach Ryan Bader on how to be Mark Coleman, but I think they have. When they make a movie, they have their own ideas of how they want this guy to be. They didn't want my input on how I was, you know what I mean? So I'm curious to see how it plays out. I'm sure it'll be great. But a lot of people are disappointed when movies come out about their lives, like The Foxcatcher. You ever see that? Mark Schultz, Dave Schultz, got shot by that John DuPont guy. Mm-hmm. Team Foxcatcher. Well, then they made that movie, and Mark Schultz, good friend of mine, they were disgusted in how they portrayed him as a human being. It was crap. It was bullshit. So I don't think they'll do that to me, and I don't really care.
Yeah, I hope it goes well. Mark was over, I don't know, a month ago or so, 6 weeks ago, 5-6 weeks ago. Mark was.
I'm so happy for him, man. He motivated me during the movie The Smash Machine. He was the one that had the courage to show on TV him taking the drugs. He just decided to put it all out there. I was in a similar boat with him, but I wasn't willing to show that side of me on the movie. He did. And he brought a lot of attention to it, and God bless him. I'm so happy he's got his life together. He got sober, and that eventually helped motivate me to get sober. So we're good friends, and I love that guy, and I'm so happy this is happening for him because he's a good man, and he's turned his life around, and he's doing very well.
I thought the same. He seemed like a very nice man.
Yes,
seemed like
sir.
a good person, and having that spotlight back on his career and your career as well, through that movie is a nice opportunity for both of you, for both financially and also for the projects or things that you care about. So I think that's a really cool thing, and I'm excited to see it myself.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. The Rock is. I've seen some clips. He looks like Mark Kerr. He looks almost exactly like him. His body, it's unbelievable. It's amazing. Ryan Bader should have got on some roids and got a little jacked. I'm just kidding. But me and Kerr were basically identical. Same height, same size, same build pretty much. And so it's going to be hard to, I don't think Bader will look exactly like The Rock, but I think The Rock's a couple inches taller and everything, but it'll be beautiful.
What were you weighing at that time when you're, biggest fighting?
I changed quite a bit. I started out at about probably 235. I mean, I walk around at about 250, 245, but by the fight day, I'd be down to 235. And then 235 was a little too heavy still. And then I got down to the Pride Grand Prix. I was down to 228. I felt amazing there, but then I even took it a little just cleaned up my diet, just kept cleaning it up a little better. And my ideal weight was like 224. That's where I beat Shogun, who I was 43, but at 224, I looked the best and I felt the best.
Mark Kerr was telling me that he was 275 or 278 sometimes. He said
maybe for a minute or two, but no, he settled back in about 250 probably, and then he probably fought at about 235, 40. We were very similar.
The way he explained it to me at the time, that some of his earlier fights, he was pushing 280.
Yeah.
And he said he's so damn big that guys would get in the ring and they were just intimidated. They're looking at this huge man. But he did say, to your point, that he was a lot better fighter around 240, 245. That
he was smaller. He was smaller than that. I'd say 240, 235 even. That's where he'd be best.
Yeah, he said he felt like he was the best athlete and best fighter. More in that range.
But he's huge man, very huge man, genetically blessed.
So Mark was a friend during that time, or maybe was an opponent sometime.
He was on my team. I was his coach, so to say, one of his coaches, mental coach. I was the mind coach. I was very, very strong mentally, and I helped him in that way, but just gave him confidence to be around him. It's a team, you're out there by yourself, but you do have to have a team to help get your confidence up, because confidence is everything in there. If you don't believe, you're probably going to fail.
What is the importance of that time that, guys from that era, say Tito Ortiz, I'm thinking about, Tito would say, he'd have his kickboxing coach over there and his other coach over here, and they didn't have like a central MMA gym like some of the big gyms that exist today.
Yeah.
And what was that like for in your career, where you had to learn new skill sets outside of wrestling, and how did you build that team, or what sort of resources did you put together?
Immediately I knew I was going to need a team. I had a lot of friends, wrestlers that could fight, and I started Team Hammer House. I was the coach. I coached all these guys. I coached myself while I was competing. If I did something differently, I would have focused more on myself instead of focusing on my teammates, because it took too much of my time and energy to train these guys, and took a lot away from me. But I love this. I loved my guys, and we went out there. We never turned down any fights. Team Hammer House would take a fight anywhere, anytime. And people knew that, and we were always flying into enemy territory, and it was a thing of beauty, man. It was a blessing. I love my team. I love my friends. We're still all good friends, and Hammer House is for life, brother.
Who were some of your most important coaches or mentors along the way that helped you out?
I was called uncoachable. I liked learning things on my own my whole life. I really was uncoachable. That's what I would have did differently. But you got to pick and choose who you coach, and I didn't have good feelings about a lot of my coaches. That's why I was like this. But then all of a sudden, when you run across somebody like a Dan Gable was my Pan American Games coach. Well, when that man spoke, I listened. I listened to everything he said. He was the king of motivation. He's my all-time favorite coach, and he changed my life. And just Pat Miletich on the other hand, when it came to MMA, I didn't have no coaches. I did it all myself. But then for the Pride Grand Prix, I went up to Iowa, and I spent about a month with him. The last month, I showed up there in shape, so he didn't have to get me in shape. That was the beautiful thing. He got to watch me and find out what I can and can't do well. And then me and him went over there, and we had a hell of a good party. ruining Pride's plans. They did not want me to win. Find some good coaches, and that's me. I coach these fighters now. I was, after I got sober, that was my new addiction. I'm gonna create champions. Create champions. But I found out that hardly nobody has what it takes. And if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it things my way. And nobody wants to do that. Everybody just wants to be a fighter. Do they want to be great? Hardly anybody. So you got 50 guys in a room. Maybe one or two guys have what it takes at the most.
Yeah, that's the truth about life. Everybody wants the result. They don't want to do the work to get to the result. You mentioned Dan Gable, and Kurt Angle's become a buddy over time. We've done a few. He's been to my place. We've done some interviews together, done some talks
Kurt
together.
Angle. We're good buddies.
Kurt,
we were big time rivals. He's 4 or 5 years younger than me, so I was older than him. I was the man in 1992. He was my training partner, helped him prepare me for the Olympics in 92 and 91 and 92. And then 93, I did Mark Curry and Kurt Angle a favor by taking a long time off and hitting the bottle for 3 years. So they stepped in there. Kurt took over the weight class, and Angle was trying to beat him. And then in 1995, I planned on taking some time off, but it ended up being, 3 years, 4 years. I never missed a weight. It was good for my body to get off that wrestling mat, let everything heal up. And I never missed a weight training session, so I was getting so much bigger and stronger, which to me was everything. Strength was what I needed to be confident. I had to be the strongest man possible. So then in 1995, Team Foxcatcher called me up and said, "Hey, Coleman, they was paying me $1,000 a month to be on their team, but I hadn't been doing anything for them." They said, "You got to wrestle, bro." So I entered a Sunkist Open tournament in Arizona. Showed up there 3 years out, and there was Kurt Angle in the tournament, weighing about 215. I came in weighing 225. I was huge. I was always a lot bigger and stronger than Kurt. That's what gave me a chance against him, because his athletic ability and speed and quickness and his conditioning was second to nobody. But I had the strength on him, and I came out and I beat him 2-0 with zero training, but I kind of put the crunch on him, man. I hurt his back during the match, this and that, and he won the world championships that year, and I beat him with zero training. 6 months later was the world trials. I left that tournament, went back to Columbus, and picked up the bottle again, and I didn't train. And then all of a sudden, the world trials, I show up at the world trials, and there was Kurt Angle, much bigger, come in about 225. So somehow he got a lot bigger, stronger, and Kurt had been beating him. I wasn't ready, so I wasn't a factor. And then Kurt finally beat Mark Kerr, and then he goes on to win the Worlds. And then the Olympics were the following year, and I didn't train for those either. And I had Mark Kerr in the first round. I beat him in the first round, which did Kurt a big favor, because that was the main guy he was worried about me and him. And then I lost to somebody, and then Kurt walked away with the win, and then he wins the Olympic gold medal with a broken neck. God bless him. And then his professional wrestling career was amazing. He's a Hall of Fame pro wrestler. The things he did in that square circle were unbelievable. He put it all on the line, and he got himself into a little bit of trouble with the pain pills as well, but he's a sober brother of mine too now, so life is good.
He talked to me about Dan Gable, you mentioned. He said that, and you mentioned his strength and conditioning, or excuse me, mostly his conditioning, that he said that they were so exhausted that the training that they did was so exhausting. He just had utter confidence in himself that nobody was going to outwork him or had better conditioning.
That's what it's all about. I mean, that's what you have to have. You have to have utter confidence that everybody fears getting tired. Not everybody, most wrestlers or fighters, they worry, did they do enough? Are they going to get tired? That was my biggest problem. I was worried, did I do enough and get tired? Well, you can't have that. And whenever I did good, I didn't have that worry. I knew I put in the time and went out there, because if you're worried about it, it's going to make you even more tired. But it's critical. And Kurt Angle, I think he won like 5 matches they were same score, but then the refs, the judges picked him because he was more aggressive, more active, and more in shape, and that's how he won the Olympics, by being the most in shape wrestler there. So that was a thing of beauty.
Gotcha. So yeah,
He didn't like wrestling me. I stalled my ass off against him. He would be pissed. I just said, let's chill out to the end. But no, but Kurt was the best, one of the best ever.
I'll text him a picture of us when we wrap here in a minute. Any other stories you'd share with us from those days? You got an amazing life and encyclopedia, fun stories from that era.
Me and the monster, Kevin Randeman, we had a blast wherever we went. We went to Brazil, and we kind of took over that country for a little while, but it got me in a lot of trouble. After I won the world title, after I won the UFC, like I said, I fell off. Well, I went over to Brazil for the first time. They flew me in there, paying me to, the wrestlers, we used to know this stuff. They're going to fly me in and pay me to do an appearance. I wasn't used to something like that. And of course, there's beautiful women all over the place over there. And I ended up staying for 30 days and then came back, and I had 2 weeks to prepare for my defense. It was just absolutely one of the stupidest things I've ever did in my life. I went out there and I took Maurice Smith down, and I thought I was going to beat this guy with no training. And I took him down. I'm headbutting. I knocked him out with a headbutt. I woke him up with another one. He told me later. And I'm just grinding the hell out of him for 3 minutes. And I almost finished him, but then I took a break at the 3-minute mark, and then all of a sudden the demon started creeping in my head. What the hell were you doing over in Brazil, you stupid? And it ended up going 21 minutes. I didn't have nothing. I don't know how I made it 21 minutes, but it was the most tired, exhausted. I thought I was going to die of a heart attack that day. And then I couldn't take him down no longer. I was too slow. Now I couldn't take him back down. So Maurice Smith stood out there and he picked my legs apart. He kicked the shit out of my legs. They were so beat up afterwards. It was the most humbling night of my life. And I needed it, and I appreciated it.
I encourage you to spend less time with the Brazilian ladies for the next training camp. Mark, I appreciate you coming through. I've been interested in meeting you for some time, and thanks so much for making the time. I know you got a busy life and plenty of things you could be doing. So
this is fine. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you making the time and sharing some of your life and stories. Thank you, sir.
We'll get together. It'll be fun.
Watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you the pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.